Bluey is one of the best cartoons I have ever seen, bar none, and you're probably all getting tired of hearing me say it, but it's true. If you've been following my channel at all over the last couple of years, then you'll know that I have just been absolutely blown away by this little show about a family of dogs, and just how much it's gone above and beyond raising the bar for these kind of cartoons that are aimed at a younger audience. I don't want to go through the whole spiel again, but I mean, come on. This is one of the most emotionally mature and intelligent shows I've ever seen, regardless of genre. I mean, it's more a show about parenting than anything else, leading to it tackling some surprisingly heavy subjects, but in a way that everyone can relate to and understand. It's got amazing, memorable, and lovable characters, it's super quotable and well written, and it's genuinely very funny. And not like funny for a kid's show either, like legit funny. Like, I can't imagine someone watching the show and not cracking a smile. I am a fan of the show, you get it. But right now, there's not a whole lot going on with Bluey, is there? I mean, earlier this year, we had that massive Bluey special episode, The Sign, and then maybe one more episode after that, and I guess then the season ended. I mean, it makes sense, but because Bluey's not like an American show, the release schedule over here in the States can be a little weird, confusing, and late. So eventually, after a couple of months of no new episodes, I was just like, oh, I guess the season's over. Huh, okay. But God, that final stretch of episodes was amazing. The show really took things to a new level with The Sign, and I cannot wait to see where things go in a 4th season. But until then, all we can do is wait. Unless you're me, because when the things that I love go away, rather than face the reality of the situation, I choose to say, no, that didn't happen. It's time to live in denial! Well, I mean, kinda. Bluey isn't over, obviously. A 4th season is 100% on the way. The show's making way too much money to stop now. But you know, I have this whole format where I look at random stuff to fill the void when a show I love ends, and I brand it all around pretending it's not over and living in denial and all that stuff. But when the show I'm talking about hasn't really ended yet, I can't really call it that, can I? But you know, I still want to make the video, so screw it. That's the setup we're going with. So until we get more Bluey, what do us Bluey fans have to kill the time? Well, a lot, actually. It turns out when you're the most successful family show of the last few years, popular with kids and adults, you end up getting a lot of extra junk. I'm talking merch, adaptations, extended universe material, all that jazz. Okay, maybe extended universe material is a bit extreme, but you know, while we aren't getting new episodes of Bluey right now, that doesn't mean we aren't getting new episodes of Bluey right now. Stay with me. Bluey's actually been getting a bunch of mini-sodes over the last month or so. Now, these are basically what they say on the tin. They're animated shorts that are just a quick 1 to 2 minute bite-sized piece of Bluey content. And it's exactly what you'd expect from the show. Same animation, same voice actors, same art style, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, it's usually just more scenes of the parents, Chili and Bandit, playing with Bluey and her sister Bingo. Just tiny little slices of an episode. Like, you know, here's a short where Bandit pretends to eat Bluey, vomit her up, and then eat her again. What? You think I'm joking? You think I'm bold-faced lying to everyone watching here about the Bluey vomit short? Nah, man. Bandit literally uses the word chunder.
I didn't mean to chunder on you.
That's okay.
This is what the writers came up with. This is the author's intended vision. Every now and then, the show tries to remind us that these characters are still, like, dogs, and it can get kind of awkward. But you know, there are some other shorts, like this one where Bandit's mom reads Bluey and Bingo a letter their dad wrote for school back when he was around their age. This one gets really wholesome and cute by the end, with little Bandit writing about how much he loves his mom. I always love how unexpectedly sweet and heartfelt this show can be, even in what are essentially filler episodes. Oh yeah, and then there's the short where we find out that Bluey's cousin Muffin is being forced to run a toy review YouTube channel by her parents. Oh no. That's unethical. I'm not even kidding. Muffin is straight up running a YouTube channel. And while they don't show like a view count in the short or anything like that, it's clear that this is a decently professional operation they're running. They got a flashy animated intro, an end screen linking to previous episodes that have custom thumbnails, by the way, and an entire filming set that's given real, like, kids react energy. Oh geez, they even have a subscribe button and a like button on the board in the back. Ugh, these parents, dude. And if all that wasn't enough, Muffin is reviewing a toy in this short that was sent to the family by a toy company.
Dad, I don't want a dump truck.
Muffin, this is the one they sent us, okay? Just say the line.
These guys are getting brand deals. This is a legit operation here. Uncle Stripe's been running some YouTube kids toy review racket this entire time, and just no one's ever mentioned it. And I wasn't exaggerating when I said Muffin's being forced to film here. Whoever edited this video just straight up left in all the clear signs that Muffin does not want to be doing this. I mean, I know Muffin as a character is always kind of difficult, but does this look like the face of a child who wants to be on camera right now? Oh, this poor dog, toddler. I don't know what to call these things. Yeah, these Bluey minisodes have not been quite the wholesome experience I was hoping for. But there's more than just animated shorts. If we're talking extended universe material, the quote-unquote, then of course there's the infamous Bluey video game. Now, I made a whole video about this thing back when it first came out, but for anyone who missed it, yes, there is in fact a Bluey video game on all major video game consoles. Is it good? No. The game's pretty bare bones. It's all about Bluey and Bingo finding this old treasure map their dad made when he was little and trying to track down whatever this buried treasure is. So I guess the best way to describe the game would probably just be scavenger hunt. And nothing particularly robust or deep going on here. You mostly just run around, pick up stuff, and occasionally play mini games that are legit over in the blink of an eye. It was also surprisingly glitchy for how simple it is and how short it is. I think I beat the game in like an hour. I don't want to delve too much deeper because, again, I have covered the game in depth from start to finish in a different video, so I won't spoil the story or anything like that. But I will say, at the time that I made that video, I said that I couldn't really recommend Bluey the video game because of just how little content it offered for being a $40 price tag. But the longer we go without new episodes of Bluey and the further we get from the game's initial release, I don't know, maybe? If you can pick up a used copy for cheap, it's not that bad. The big plus the game has going for it is it feeling exactly like the show. If I just showed you like a random cutscene from the game, you'd be totally forgiven for thinking it's just a clip from the cartoon. It looks nearly identical and all the original voice actors are present and accounted for. And it's an original story. So if you missed the show and just want something to tide you over until season 4, this would probably do the trick. Just, don't expect too much of it, gameplay-wise, and try to find a cheap copy on eBay or something. But speaking of games, if there's one place where Bluey will inevitably continue to thrive, no matter what time of year or whether the show's off-season or not, it is in the world of toys. I mean, it's basically just a rule of the universe. If your kid's cartoon is successful enough, you will go on to take up nearly half an entire aisle in the Target toy section. And you guys know I love my random little collectibles. I have a whole channel for it. And the last time I did one of these big Bluey videos, I took a look at a ton of cute little Bluey toys. But, that's all they really were. Simple little Bluey toys. Plastic figures, talking plushies, that's about it. And things have gotten real in the years since. Yes, the Bluey brand has officially graduated to the world of weird electronic toys. And honestly, these are way more interesting to me. Particularly this one, the Ring phone. This toy is baffling to me considering the audience it's made for. Like, what kid who is growing up watching Bluey in 2024 is going to recognize this as a cell phone? Cell phones haven't looked like this in like 20 years. Not trying to sound like an old man, but do you think kids today have even seen an antenna? We just don't need them anymore. But it gets weirder. Look at this screen. Any of you guys recognize this? This is a black and white LCD screen. Like the kind you used to see on Tamagotchis like 30 years ago. Dude, I grew up with LCD screen toys like this, and I genuinely can't remember the last time I saw a toy use one. Whose idea was this? Are the people making Bluey toys catching on to how much of their audience is in their 20s? Am I being watched? Anyway, the phone itself is actually a really cute little time waster. It's got a pretty solid speaker that can play music and voice lines from Bluey and Bingo, and plus it's got a few extremely basic games to play, including one that uses the built-in microphone. This thing has a mic too? Is this just an actual cell phone? Why is this thing actually kind of cool? And speaking of cool, it gets better. Because for reasons I can't really explain, we have a Bluey drum set and keytar. This is sick, dude. And these aren't just cheap little song machines either. They're like actual instruments. Kinda. I mean, yeah, they will just play pre-recorded songs if you press certain buttons. And the drum set in particular has different games you can play, like Simon Says and stuff like that. But I have way more fun using these kinds of toys like normal instruments. You can just straight up play a real drum beat on this kit. And while the black keys on the keytar are fake, which is pretty lame, you do still get a legit 1-octave C major scale keyboard synthesizer to kind of play around with here. I really don't know why they couldn't just make the black keys real too, though. Cheap plastic keyboards for kids have been a thing for ages, but whatever. I was legit impressed by these. They're nothing super special or anything, but I love how these could actually be a legitimate way to get kids into playing instruments. In fact, I kind of want to make a song using these toys. Okay, fine, I used a real base too. Well, that was fun. Here's a Bluey toy that's just a bop it. You know, that toy that tells you to do a bunch of actions and it progressively gets faster and more frantic. Yeah, it's like that, except you have to snap Bluey's neck. Okay, maybe that's enough toys. But you know, if you want to see even more random Bluey toys, there should be a new video out right now over on my Foafy channel where we focus exclusively on things like random collectibles, toys, cards, etc. We got a whole new episode on Bluey toys that should be up over there as you are seeing this video, so be sure to stick around to the end card if you want to check that out. Anyway, let's say toys and games aren't really your thing, and maybe you'd just rather kick back in a comfy chair and read a good book. For toddlers. I'm sure this comes as a surprise to absolutely no one, but there are a ton of Bluey books out there. And while I might not be the target demographic for these books, I do find this stuff like really nostalgic. Back when I was little, I loved getting books based on my favorite shows and movies. I had a ton of picture books based on things like Finding Nemo, SpongeBob, Garfield. I ate this kind of stuff up. So while obviously Bluey did not exist back when I was little, this particular kind of book still just takes me back to a simpler time. So you know, let's see what we've got in the world of Bluey books. First thing I found was this tiny little thing called the Bluey Little Library. It's an adorable collection of those like tiny books with the really thick cardboard pages. You remember those? Each of these 4 little books focus on a different member of Bluey's family. And you know, they're only a few pages long. They're so short you could probably fit the entire content of each book into a single tweet. So you know, like, if you're not a toddler, you probably won't get much out of these. These kind of books are for the whole like, this is what a word is phase of your life. But you know, the books do double as a little puzzle. That's fun. And honestly, the packaging is really nice. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't blame you if you just wanted to put this on the shelf because it looked cute. You know, actually, this looks astonishingly similar to this other mini book collection I have of John Green novels. Like, dang near identical. They're even made by the same company. Just, try not to confuse the two. If you go in for a book about Bandit Healer and you come out with Looking for Alaska, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. So maybe let's upgrade to some bigger books. Now, one thing I've seen so far with Bluey books is that, for the most part, they all just seem to be like retellings of episodes that already exist. I've not managed to find too many that feature original stories. So if you're looking for like new Bluey stuff to enjoy while waiting for season 4, you might be out of luck. Like here, I grabbed this book called the Bluey for Real Life Story Collection, and it is straight up just another collection of 4 different short stories, except now they're retelling episodes of the show. Specifically, the episodes are Fruit Bat, The Creek, Bob Bilby, and The Beach. And honestly, the retellings are pretty cute. The pages are colorful, creatively laid out, and capture the vibes of the episodes pretty much perfectly. Now, you do lose a lot of the personality and humor with the simplified writing, but that's not really the point, is it? This is for kids to practice early reading skills and for parents to read to their kids before bed or something like that. So for that purpose, it is pretty nice, but not for much else. You know, I did find this other book that seemed like a bit of a bigger deal. It's a storybook adaptation of the episode Sleepy Time. You know, that one where Bingo's dreaming about being in space and somehow it goes on to be one of the most beautiful episodes of any animated TV series ever? Yeah, that one. And right away, this all feels like a much more premium book. You know, it's got a shiny holographic logo, the whole thing has this really nice matte finish, and the book is even written by Joe Brum, the creator of Bluey. Is it Brum or Broom? I'm sorry, Joe. I don't know. I've never met you. I don't know you. Now, of course, despite the higher quality, this is still mostly just a retelling of the episode using screenshots from the show. But the book's larger pages allow for the beautiful imagery from that episode to be presented in a really nice way, especially when a couple of pages actually fold out to be super wide. It only happens twice, but this bit right here, when Bingo sees the sun, I just love the way these fold-out pages really show the scale of the whole thing. It's really simple, but super effective. Plus, I mean, this story is still amazing, even in the form of still images. But again, I was really hoping to find a book that gave me something new. So let's take a look at the last book I've got today, Bluey's Book of Games. This is one of those classic types of kids books with all the buttons on the side that you press to make little sound bites play. I loved these kind of things as a kid. But while I was decently optimistic about this book being something kind of fun, the second I opened up the first page, all I was left with was confusion. See, this is not a book of games, as in it is a book in which you play games. This is a book that just lists 7 ideas for make-believe games for you to play with your family, and the various household objects you need to play them. They don't really explain what the games are, or what each thing is for. I guess that's up to you to decide. So the entire contents of the book is just a short list of vague ideas for how to play make-believe. I mean, the contents of this thing would barely fill a single web page. So then what are all the buttons for? Well, aside from triggering a few voice lines from Bluey and Bingo just reading the contents of the page, these buttons can also trigger another game of Simon Says, just like the drum set. You press the different colored buttons on the left side of the book, and that's it. It has nothing to do with any of the games included in the actual book. But if the entire point of your book is to encourage kids to play games in real life using their imagination, why would you make the book itself a toy, let alone a game in and of itself? I mean, how many kids are actually gonna gather all the random objects and then play pretend, and how many are just gonna sit there, play Simon Says, and listen to the voice clips? I've never seen a book or toy defeat its own purpose so completely. Do you want to go find 4 chairs, a basket, string, and pegs, and then just try to reverse engineer a game from all that? Or do you want to play the glowy light game where Bluey talks to you? I don't know, man. I feel like they just didn't think this thing through that much. So I don't know. Yeah, the books were a bit of a bust, toys were kind of fun, the game sucks, and the minisodes are great, but all of them combined are still only about as long as 1 episode of the main show. I'm running out of options here. Or at least I was, until right around the time I started writing this script, when they opened, of all things, an immersive Bluey experience. I'm talking a real-life recreation of Bluey's house, mascot characters, a gift shop full of merch. This is like the Disney World of Bluey junk. Oh man, this would be absolutely perfect. Yeah, I just gotta go to Brisbane. Wait, is this show Australian?